Yes, I know this title is very overused, but I really think today is pretty crazy for top play because a bunch of really impressive stuff happened in the last 24 hours, so I want to cover it. And first, we're gonna start off with the two interesting topics that aren't exactly completions or progress videos, starting off with Trick returning to the game. You can see he took a quick 2-week break, and he is now live streaming with the title going for top 3. This isn't him going for the third hardest level, this is just him saying that he wants to get his top 3 position back, because if you remember recently, Z Levi actually took that, and is now the third best player in the game according to the stats viewer. And currently Trick is playing Andromeda. He is trying to beat this to start off his list point journey, and he has actually got progress on this from before, when this level used to be top 10, but obviously now that doesn't really matter too much because he hasn't touched the level in a while, but he's back and trying to beat it. Now, this would just be a normal situation, right? But I want to also highlight a couple things that he said in this live stream that are kind of interesting to me. First off, the reason that he hasn't really been streaming for a bit, and this seems to be a consistent thing with him, is that he honestly just gets very pressured to live stream. He feels like he needs to perform at the top of his game every live stream, or he's a disappointment, and then it leads to him not wanting to live stream and just not wanting to play GD in general. I feel like this is the reason for a lot of the times that he's taken a break, and I can tell that he gets demotivated at a level that the other players in the top echelon of difficulty don't have as much, because it's evident from what he was saying here that he does this more because he likes to be competitive rather than for liking the game, liking the levels. He just got 54 as I'm recording this as a new best, right? But yeah, you can do that, okay? You can play a level just because you're competitive, right? You don't have to play this game solely because you like levels. But it definitely helps with beating them if you're enjoying the process, so it's obvious why he's needed to take these stumps. But also, the main thing that I want to point out that I think is interesting is he brought up Society, and the reason he isn't playing it isn't because, he doesn't think he can beat it, but more because he genuinely doesn't know if it's worth it. Because obviously he wants the top 1 spot. That's his goal, he wants to beat the top 1 level. So the issue is, with Zoink verifying Artemis 13 recently, he's starting to think that that could be harder than Society. In fact, a lot of people have said that that is harder than Society, and Zoink has had to make posts claiming that no, it's top 3, but that is Zoink, so it's probably not true, and most people are giving evidence towards why it's top 1. But the more interesting thing is actually that he started talking about how Society might not even be harder than Thinking Space 2, and that he genuinely thinks Thinking Space 2 is harder. Which is kinda crazy to think about, because keep in mind, Trick is one of the few people in the game that can actually give a valid opinion here, since he has beaten Thinking Space 2 now, and he's got good progress on Society. So an opinion like this genuinely has a chance of swaying, the difficulty ranking of this level. And while, yes, I'm sure that people like Zoink and Popoff will have a much higher weight when it comes to the placement of levels, this will still impact it. A lot of people say that you just need to beat a level to have a placement opinion actually affect on the list. And while that is very much true when it comes to the top 1, 2, and 3 levels, sometimes if you have really good progress on Society like Trick does, and then also, beating the top 2 level, it can take effect. But I believe that Zoink and Popoff have said that this is top 1, or that Society is top 1, right? So I don't think it's going to have an effect here, but that is still a very interesting take. But since we're on the topic of Trick wanting to beat the hardest level on the Demon list, let's talk about the new hardest 9 circles level on the Demon list, Ultra Paracosm. Now, this isn't the hardest 9 circle level that is verified, because obviously Antarctic Lights still needs to be placed, which most people agree is harder, and you can also make a case for Unnerved Sakupin Circles being harder, but that's obviously not rated, and to a very lesser extent Aquamarine, and a new verification that we're going to talk about soon. But this is essentially currently the hardest 9 circles level on the list. Is a very impressive achievement by Witty here, beating this level. It was a huge journey, and it was really cool to see, but I don't really have much more to talk about here because, well, it just got placed, right? It's not like a new completion or anything. But what I do want this to link into is the fact that recently we saw a potential top 29 circles level get verified that isn't Antarctic Lights or Ultra Power Cosm. It's a brand new level. This is Vive, a person who I've literally never seen before this video, okay? But I've recently noticed that 7 hours ago, he was able to verify Bonfire by Jackalope. And if you've never heard of this level, it is currently ranked 1230th on the impossible levels list. So that's the difficulty we're talking about here. What's even more interesting is that I've actually played this level well before I heard of this guy. I saw this level on the impossible level list randomly and decided to give it a shot for a bit. So I actually had an understanding of this level, so it was really surprising to see that this actually got verified. But if you have a keen eye, you would have noticed that it says buffed in the description. So yeah, this isn't just the one on the list, this is a buffed version. I'm just gonna let the level play out here because we have a frame window, or frame counter here. I don't know what people call it now, what the term is. But it's got some very impressive numbers here. Look at that 2-frame department just shoot up. This level is crazy. Obviously, most of it is in the waves, but like this level looks ridiculous. How people are doing this now, I don't even know. And honestly, some of these buffs here kind of look a bit bad. I'm kind of not happy with the way this got buffed, but it does just make the verification even more impressive. And it ends off with a pretty simple ship and UFO part. In the verification description here, it says that with buffs, it's harder than Acheron and Avernus, which is his new hardest after 11 months now. And this is after only 14,000 attempts. What do you mean? 14,000? That is nothing. That is actually nothing. Now, from what I can tell, this player does not have a pointer crate profile, but I could find a global list profile, which is a very prominent list that does have standards, right? So I'm sure this is a legit player. Completions like Avernus, Acheron, Slaughterhouse, Sakupan Circles, Pukub, Combustion, Solar Flare. A very good player indeed, and is ranked 98 on this website. GD Shark also makes another appearance here. We've covered this player in a video already. I think it was actually last one, where he got 27 to 100 on Quantus processing, and today he was able to follow that up with a list percent getting 73%. Calling it a top 10 and harder than Slaughterhouse. Who could have guessed a top 10 is harder than Slaughterhouse? This is after only 34,000 attempts, which, how are these people doing these hard levels in, like, nothing? What has gotten into people recently? I'm not really gonna go into the video because it is just the 73% run. There isn't much more to talk about there, but just the fact that we're starting to see Quantus processing victors that aren't just your pop off your trick and your zoink is just super impressive to me, and it shows how we're moving the skill ceiling a lot now, and it's not just the few couple people that are doing so. It's actually more of a group effort. And then lastly, everyone keeps saying I'm forgetting Bacon when I'm talking about achievements, and I'm not. It's just usually there's a bajillion Tidal Wave progresses, so I decide to pick a different one, but we'll talk about him today because 6 hours ago he was able to get 23 to 91 and 23 to 92 in a row. And 7 days ago, he even got the 23 to 100 run, so yeah, this is very impressive. This is the same person who beat Booba Wamba literally 2 weeks ago, and he's already beating Tidal Wave, right? This is one of the few players that genuinely could play levels like Amethyst, Thinking Space 2, Society, and Flame Wall, which are kind of locked to the top few people right now. Now, calling it in a row is a bit deceiving because it actually isn't, but it pretty much is, right? If you look here, he goes here, and then he does sadly die to that saw, and then gets to run, so yeah, it isn't technically in a row, but that is some crazy consistency to just do that, die once, and then get the run. He also was able to get another decent run in the level to 100, which is shown in this video, but it isn't close to 23 to 100, so I'm not really going to cover it here, but this is just insane. Insane. How are people like this actively doing stuff in such little time as well? This is just like a couple weeks of progress so far. I don't get it. But that is all for today. Don't have much more to talk about here. I'll just update if you've been following my community posts. This is a bit outdated. I did get 78 on in this, but I'm not posting that anywhere because I didn't want to post 2 community posts in like an hour. But I don't have much to say other than that. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something that you didn't already know already, and peace.